Vather's footsteps echoed through the crystalline halls of the Grand Council chamber, their silvery robes billowing as they rushed past the ancient murals depicting the founding of galactic civilization. The data crystal in their hand pulsed with an urgent red glow, containing intelligence that could prevent an impending catastrophe. The Council's evening session had just begun, with representatives from 2,000 species discussing trade routes and minor border disputes. None of them seemed aware of the Chronaxian Empire's latest military mobilization. Vather had spent the last 40 Earth years studying humanity in secret, and what they had learned filled them with both wonder and concern. "Emergency protocol override," Vather announced, their voice carrying across the chamber. The floating platforms hosting various diplomatic delegations hushed as Vather's priority clearance suspended all other discussions. The central platform descended, bringing the High Council's 5 supreme representatives to eye level. Diplomat Vather, First Speaker Milan's crystalline form shimmed with annoyance. This had better justify interrupting trade negotiations with the John Collective. Vather inserted the data crystal into the central projection unit. "Distinguished council members, I present evidence that the Chronaxian Empire is about to commit a grave tactical error that could destabilize our entire sector." The holographic display came to life, showing the Chronaxian battle fleet, 50 capital ships, and their support vessels, moving through hyperspace toward a specific destination. Several council members shifted uncomfortably, recognizing the aggressive species' latest generation of warships. "They're targeting a pre-FTL civilization," Vather continued, "one that our standard protocols have classified as a Category 3 developing world." Earth. Relief spread through the chamber. Many representatives had feared the Chronaxians were finally challenging the Council's authority directly. A single primitive world hardly seemed worth an emergency session. "The Chronaxians have submitted proper documentation," Second Speaker Raxti noted, their tentacles waving dismissively. "They claim hereditary rights to that star system from their ancient exploration period. While unfortunate for the natives, this falls within our non-intervention protocols for developing worlds." Vather raised all 4 hands, a gesture of urgent protest. "I have spent 4 decades studying these primitives. The classification is wrong, dangerously wrong." The projection shifted to scenes from Earth: nuclear power plants, quantum computers, early AI systems, and Mars colonies. Humanity has split the atom, mapped their own genome, and begun expanding through their solar system. But these technological achievements aren't what make them dangerous. New images appeared: World War I resistance fighters improvising weapons from household items, modern special forces training in extreme environments, civilian rescue workers rushing into burning buildings, emergency hospital staff performing surgery during natural disasters. "Humans possess 3 traits that make them unique among known species," Vather explained. "First, they can maintain complex problem-solving capabilities even under extreme stress. Second, they excel at adapting technology in ways its original creators never imagined. And third, perhaps most importantly, they demonstrate unprecedented cooperation in the face of external threats." Third Speaker Vence's crystalline form vibrated with amusement. "They're still using chemical rockets and projectile weapons. The Chronaxian fleet carries planet cracker weapons and zero-point energy shields." With respect, Vather countered, "The humans have already detected the Chronaxian fleet's approach. In the past 6 hours, they've unified their military commands, activated planetary defense systems we didn't even know they had, and begun evacuating critical infrastructure to their Mars facilities. They're not behaving like a pre-FTL civilization at all." First Speaker Milan leaned forward. "You believe they'll resist?" "I believe, honored speakers, that the Chronaxians are about to learn why every human entertainment medium, throughout their entire history, contains stories of their people defeating technologically superior invaders. They don't just imagine victory against impossible odds. They plan for it, train for it, and achieve it with remarkable regularity." The chamber erupted in discussion. Vothair watched the council members debate, knowing that even now, humanity was preparing surprises that would shake the galaxy's understanding of what a primitive species could achieve. "We should at least warn the Chronaxian fleet," Vothair pressed. "Their arrogance is leading them into a conflict that will have consequences far beyond a single world." But Vothair could see in the council's reactions that they didn't truly understand. Like the Chronaxians, they would have to learn about humanity the hard way. The warning lights began flashing. First contact had begun. Admiral Kextar of the Chronaxian Empire stood on the command deck of the flagship Eternal Dominion, watching as his fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. His scaled skin gleamed under the tactical displays, reflecting the confidence of a commander about to claim an easy victory. "Status report," he commanded, expecting the standard preliminary findings of a primitive world. "Basic satellites, perhaps a few crude space stations." The sensor officer's hesitation made his head frills twitch with irritation. "My Admiral, we're detecting anomalies," the officer reported. "The fourth planet shows extensive development. Artificial structures cover significant portions of its surface. Energy readings suggest active fusion reactors." Kextar's inner eyelids flickered in surprise. The intelligence briefings had mentioned nothing about Mars colonies. "Show me the orbital infrastructure." The main display activated, revealing a complex network of satellites, stations, and platforms extending from low Earth orbit to the lunar surface. Most surprising was the elaborate lunar base, its domed structures and landing facilities far more advanced than anything expected from a pre-FTL civilization. "Launch communication jammers," Kextar ordered. "Isolate their command structures before they—" "Sir," the communications officer interrupted. "We're detecting unusual signal patterns. They're not using standard electromagnetic channels. Some form of quantum entanglement communication system is active between their orbital facilities." The tactical officer added more concerning news. "Their defensive platforms are already tracking us. They're using targeting systems that somehow penetrate our stealth fields." Kextar's claws clicked against his command console as he processed this information. These humans had clearly been preparing for something like this. But how? Their civilization wasn't supposed to have even detected the fleet's approach. "Launch the first wave," he commanded. "Standard subjugation protocol." The first wave of Chronaxian fighters streaked toward Earth's orbital defenses. Their pilots, trained to deal with primitive resistance, expected to easily overwhelm any response. Instead, they encountered precisely coordinated defensive fire from multiple platforms. "Admiral," the tactical officer's voice carried an edge of concern. "Their weapons, they're not just projectiles or chemical explosives. They're using some form of magnetic acceleration technology we've never encountered before." On the main display, 3 Chronaxian fighters disappeared in quick succession, their shields failing against weapons that should have been centuries beyond Earth's capability. More disturbing were the smaller craft launching from the lunar base, clearly human-made but incorporating design elements that suggested they'd studied alien technology before. "Impossible," Kextar muttered. "They're a Category 3 world. They shouldn't have." Multiple launches detected from Mars. The sensor officer called out. "Large vessels, Admiral. They appear to be converted mining ships, heavily armed. They're moving to flank our position." Kextar's training took over. "Deploy the main fleet in defensive formation. Begin charging the planet cracker weapons. If they want to resist, we'll show them the price off." The ship shuddered. Warning lights flashed across every console. "Nuclear detonation," the tactical officer reported. "They're using their primitive weapons to generate electromagnetic pulses calibrated to our shield frequencies." "How could they know our frequencies?" Kextar watched in growing alarm as human vessels emerged from hiding spots throughout their solar system. They'd concealed ships behind asteroids, inside hollow moons, and in orbital paths that kept them in planetary sensor shadows. This wasn't the response of a primitive civilization discovering alien life. This was a coordinated defense strategy years in the making. "Sir," The communications officer's voice shook slightly. "We're receiving a transmission. From Earth." "Put it through," Kextar ordered, preparing himself for pleas of mercy or desperate threats. Instead, a calm human voice spoke in perfect Chronaxian. "This is Earth Combined Defense Command. We've studied your species since you first secretly surveyed our world 15 years ago. We know your tactics, your technology, and your weaknesses. You have one opportunity to withdraw before we demonstrate exactly how much we've learned. The choice is yours." Kextar stared at the tactical display, watching as more human ships emerged from hidden positions. His fleet, pride of the Chronaxian Empire, was being systematically surrounded by a species that supposedly didn't even have faster-than-light travel. The humans had been preparing for this moment for years, and somehow they'd managed to keep those preparations hidden from the most advanced surveillance systems in the galaxy. The real question was, what else were they hiding? Part 3. The Innovation Factor. Through the crystalline viewport of his command center, Admiral Kextar watched another Chronaxian cruiser's shields collapse under concentrated fire from Earth's defense forces. The scene defied everything he understood about technological progression and warfare. Analysis complete on their primary weapons. "Admiral," his chief engineer reported, mandibles clicking nervously. "They're using electromagnetically accelerated tungsten rods. Simple kinetic weapons. But what?" Kextar demanded, already knowing the answer would disturb him further. "They're incorporating crystal matrices similar to our shield technology into the projectiles themselves. When they impact our barriers, they resonate at precisely the frequency needed to disrupt our shield harmonics. They'd weaponized our own defensive technology against us." On the tactical display, the battle continued to evolve in ways that violated all military doctrine. Human vessels fought in seemingly chaotic patterns that somehow formed perfect traps. Their ships would appear vulnerable, retreat under fire, only to lead Chronaxian pursuers into crossfire from hidden defense platforms. 6th Battle Group reports multiple hull breaches, the tactical officer announced. "The humans are using some form of geometric analysis to target structural weaknesses our engineers thought were impossible to detect." Kextar's senior tactical advisor, Versailles, approached with a data tablet. "Admiral, we've discovered why their attack patterns seem so erratic. They're using multiple combat doctrines simultaneously. Some ships follow rigid military protocols, others operate with complete autonomy, and still others appear to be civilian craft retrofitted for combat." "Impossible," Kextar hissed. "No species can maintain combat coherence without a unified tactical doctrine." "The humans can," Versailles insisted. "What appears to be chaos to us is actually multiple complementary strategies. When we adapt to one approach, they seamlessly switch to another. Their diversity is their strength." The ship's AI flagged another tactical innovation. Human fighters were now launching what appeared to be clouds of metallic dust. The particles, under electromagnetic control, formed complex three-dimensional nets that ensnared Chronaxian vessels, interfering with both their sensors and propulsion systems. "They're learning, Admiral," the science officer reported. "Each engagement provides them with data about our capabilities. They're adapting their tactics and technology in real time. The efficiency of their learning curve exceeds anything in our historical records." A new alert caught their attention. Earth's forces had begun deploying a previously unseen weapon system. Small, automated platforms were attaching themselves to damaged Chronaxian ships. Instead of delivering explosive payloads, they were somehow integrating with the vessel's systems. "They're not just destroying our ships," the engineering chief realized with horror. "They're capturing them, studying them. Those platforms are bleeding our technology directly into their research networks." Kextar watched as one of his disabled cruisers began moving again, its systems now under human control. They hadn't simply defeated its crew, they'd completely reprogrammed its core systems in the middle of combat. "New enemy formations detected," Tactical announced. "The humans are. They're using our own captured ships to shield their advances. They've already learned to operate our technology. Versailles approached again, this time with evident concern. Admiral, I've completed analysis of their adaptation rate. They're not just learning about our current technology. They're extrapolating our potential vulnerabilities. Each engagement makes them exponentially more dangerous. The main tactical display showed human forces executing a series of maneuvers that should have been impossible without centuries of space combat experience. They were combining Chronaxian shield geometries with their own kinetic weapon systems, creating hybrid technologies that had never existed before. All ships, reform defensive positions, Kextar ordered. We need tow. The flagship shuddered as something new struck their shields. The energy reading made no sense. It combined primitive nuclear physics with advanced quantum field manipulation in ways that violated conventional weapons theory. How? Kextar demanded. How are they advancing so quickly? Sir, Versailles' voice was solemn. I believe we've discovered why the humans were classified as primitive despite their capabilities. They don't develop technology in the expected linear progression. They leap forward in seemingly random directions, combining different technological levels in ways our models can't predict. Kextar watched as more human ships emerged from FTL jumps, their first demonstration of faster-than-light technology, achieved in the middle of battle by studying captured Chronaxian drives. They weren't just fighting a war. They were using the war itself as a laboratory for accelerated technological development. And they were winning. Part 4. Unexpected Defenders. In a converted server farm deep beneath Seattle, Dr. Sarah Chen stared at streams of alien code flowing across her monitors. Around her, a team of civilian programmers who normally developed video games worked frantically to decode Chronaxian operating systems. "I found another access point," she announced, her fingers dancing across haptic interfaces. "Their quantum encryption is advanced, but they never considered defending against old-school brute force attacks running on repurposed cryptocurrency mining rigs." Across the globe, similar scenes played out in countless civilian facilities. A basement robotics lab in Tokyo had already reverse-engineered captured Chronaxian maintenance drones. A private space company in India was converting their orbital debris cleanup satellites into autonomous repair platforms for Earth's defense fleet. Dr. Chen, Marcus, a former game physics programmer, called out, "I think I've figured out why their targeting systems are having trouble with our ships. They're using predictive algorithms based on perfect spatial geometry. They've never encountered human pilots who deliberately introduce controlled chaos into their flight patterns." In low Earth orbit, Captain Lisa Rodriguez witnessed this civilian ingenuity firsthand from the bridge of her converted mining vessel, Deep Horizon. Her crew of asteroid miners had transformed their rock-cutting lasers into makeshift point defense weapons. Multiple bogies, approaching from Vector 317, her sensor operator, a former satellite technician, reported. Their energy signatures match Chronaxian fighter patterns. "Deploy the nets," Rodriguez ordered. Her ship had been harvesting space debris last week. Now those same collection systems launched clouds of magnetized particles that played havoc with alien sensor systems. Back on Earth, in a bustling university laboratory, Professor James Okonjo led a team analyzing captured Chronaxian technology. "Their material science is incredible," he explained to military observers, "but they've built their entire technological foundation on perfect crystalline structures. They've never considered using controlled imperfections to enhance performance." His graduate students were already developing hybrid materials that combined Earth's primitive metallurgy with alien crystal matrices, creating armor and components that bewildered Chronaxian sensors. In orbit around Mars, Michelle Torres, CEO of Asteroid Mining Corporation, coordinated with other private space companies. Their mining fleets, designed to crack open resource-rich asteroids, now applied that same technology to Chronaxian capital ships. "Their hulls are tough," she transmitted to Earth Defense Command. "But they've never faced mining lasers calibrated to specific molecular frequencies. We're not just damaging their ships, we're literally disassembling them for parts." The Chronaxians were discovering that every human hobby, profession, and area of expertise could become a weapon. Gaming algorithms predicted alien tactics. Agricultural satellites detected fleet movements. Weather monitoring systems tracked shield frequencies. In a repurposed automotive factory in Detroit, engineers who normally built electric cars now manufactured hybrid weapons, combining Earth technology with salvaged alien components. Their experience with rapid prototyping and adaptive manufacturing allowed them to put new designs into production within hours of conception. The beauty of it, explained Chief Engineer Robert Wong as his teams assembled another batch of shield-penetrating projectiles, is that they expect military responses. They're prepared for soldiers and weapons. They're not prepared for millions of civilians who solve problems creatively for a living. High above the Earth, aboard the International Space Station, Dr. Elena Petrov led a team of biotechnology researchers studying Chronaxian environmental systems. Their life support is based entirely on their own biology, she noted. They never considered they'd face enemies who could adapt their own organic compounds against them. In Australian marine research centers, scientists who normally tracked whale songs repurposed their equipment to detect Chronaxian communication frequencies. Brazilian rainforest monitoring stations became early warning systems for cloaked ships. Even children contributed. A middle school science project about crystalline growth patterns helped military scientists understand Chronaxian shield geometry. Online gaming communities coordinated to spot patterns in alien fleet movements that AI systems missed. Back in Seattle, Dr. Chen's team made another breakthrough. Their command and control systems are incredibly advanced, she explained to military liaison officers, but they're vulnerable to the simplest human tricks. They've never experienced computer viruses, social engineering, or good old-fashioned hacking. As if to prove her point, across the solar system, Chronaxian ships suddenly found their entertainment systems playing Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up" on endless loop. The aliens were learning a crucial lesson. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their military or their technology. It was their ability to turn every skill, every profession, and every hobby into an unexpected weapon of war. And they were just getting started. Part 5. Historical Analysis. Vather stood before the Galactic Council's emergency session, their silvery robes now wrinkled from hours of presentation. The holographic displays surrounding the chamber showed scenes from Earth's history, each carefully selected to explain why the Chronaxian invasion was doomed from the start. Consider this moment, Vather began, projecting an image of ancient humans hunting a mammoth. Early humans didn't have the strength of their prey or natural weapons, yet they developed tools, coordinated in groups, and tracked animals for days until they succeeded. This persistence hunting became embedded in their psychology. The council members watched as the presentation shifted through human history, Greek phalanxes holding against superior numbers, medieval castle sieges showcasing defensive innovations, guerrilla fighters adapting to technologically superior forces. Humans don't just adapt to survive, Vather explained. They adapt to thrive. When faced with an ice age, they didn't just endure. They developed new hunting techniques, better clothing, and complex social structures. They turned survival itself into an art form. First speaker Milan interrupted, their crystalline form pulsing with concern. Yet you say they still war among themselves. How can such a divided species unite so effectively against the Chronaxians? Vather projected new images, the International Space Station, built by former nuclear adversaries, global scientific collaborations, multinational disaster relief efforts. Their divisions are precisely what make them strong, Vather explained. Because they've faced internal conflicts, they've learned to coordinate despite differences. They maintain individuality while achieving unity. The Chronaxians expect to face a single strategic doctrine. Instead, they're facing thousands of different approaches simultaneously. The display shifted to modern military exercises. Observe their training methods. They deliberately practice in worst-case scenarios. They assume they'll face superior forces. Every human military has extensive protocols for continuing to fight even if their leadership is destroyed. Third speaker Ven says crystalline form vibrated with disbelief. Yet our analysis suggested they would welcome advanced civilization. Their own entertainment media frequently depicts peaceful first contact scenarios. Vather's expression grew serious. Those same media also contain countless scenarios of humanity successfully defending Earth against technological superior invaders. They haven't just imagined these scenarios, they've been actively preparing for them. New images appeared: military bunkers, civilian defense plans, and decades of scientific research into potential alien technologies. They've been ready for this possibility for over a century. Every alien invasion story they created was also a thought experiment in defense strategies. The chamber fell silent as Vather displayed current battle footage. Chronaxian ships, among the most advanced in the galaxy, were being systematically dismantled by what should have been primitive human weapons and tactics. The Chronaxians made a fundamental error, Vather continued. They assumed technological superiority guarantees victory. But humans have repeatedly demonstrated that innovation, adaptability, and determination can overcome technological gaps. The presentation shifted to human medical facilities. Look how they handle crisis situations. Their emergency responders run toward danger. Their medical teams perform complex procedures under extreme stress. They don't just survive high-pressure situations. They excel in them. Second speaker Rax Tai's tentacles waved in agitation. The Chronaxian command reports humans are already reverse engineering their technology. How is this possible? Because humans don't see technology as sacred or fixed, Vather explained. To them, every tool can be modified, improved, or repurposed. They don't just copy technology, they transform it. Even now, they're combining Chronaxian systems with their own technology in ways our scientists never considered possible. The final images showed human children in schools, solving problems, building projects, asking questions. This is perhaps their most dangerous quality. Every human is raised to question, to innovate, to imagine alternatives. They don't accept limitations as fixed. When told something is impossible, they take it as a challenge. Vather's four hands gestured to encompass all the evidence presented. The Chronaxians didn't invade a primitive world. They invaded a species that has spent its entire existence overcoming challenges, adapting to threats, and turning disadvantages into advantages. First speaker Milan leaned forward. What do you suggest we do? Hope, Vather replied simply. That humanity proves as skilled at making peace as they are at winning wars. Because after today, the galaxy will never be the same. On the main display, another Chronaxian battle group disappeared in a flash of innovative human warfare, proving Vather's words with devastating efficiency. Admiral Sarah Chen, formerly Dr. Chen, stood on the bridge of Earth's newest warship, Prometheus. The vessel represented humanity's first full integration of terrestrial and Chronaxian technology, constructed in just weeks by a global coalition of scientists, engineers, and reformed hackers. Status report on the hybrid drive system, she commanded, watching as the Chronaxian fleet regrouped for another assault. Operating beyond theoretical limits, Admiral, her chief engineer responded. The quantum crystalline matrix is perfectly synchronized with our modified fusion reactors. The Chronaxians never considered using controlled instability to enhance power output. The Prometheus's bridge combined Earth's intuitive interfaces with alien sensor technology. Holographic displays showed the approaching Chronaxian forces, their formations tight and disciplined. Predictable. Launch the solar wings, Chen ordered. The ship's flanks deployed vast arrays of metamaterials, combining simple solar sail concepts with captured alien energy systems. What looked like fragile panels could now redirect enemy weapons fire back at their sources. In lunar orbit, the first wave of humanity's counter-offensive took shape. Converted civilian space stations now bristled with weapons that shouldn't have existed yet. Mining lasers enhanced with Chronaxian focusing crystals. Mass drivers using salvaged alien power cores. defensive shields that combined Earth's electromagnetic technology with alien quantum fields. Multiple enemy capital ships approaching, Tactical reported. They're using new shield configurations. Looks like they're finally starting to adapt. Chen smiled. Activate the Nexus protocol. Throughout the solar system, human quantum computers linked with salvaged Chronaxian AI cores came online. The hybrid network processed combat data faster than any pure alien or human system could manage, predicting enemy movements and calculating optimal responses. Firing solutions computed, weapons control announced. The new convergence cannons are ready. Chen watched as the Prometheus's main weapons powered up. They looked deceptively simple. Traditional railguns wrapped in layers of modified Chronaxian shield technology. But when they fired, the projectiles phased between normal space and the quantum realm, becoming briefly untraceable before reappearing inside enemy shields. Target their flagship, Chen ordered. Let's show them exactly what we've learned. The convergence cannons fired in perfect sequence. On the tactical display, the Chronaxian flagship shields flared brilliantly as they tried to adapt, then collapsed as the hybrid weapons found frequencies their designers had never imagined possible. Multiple hits confirmed, Tactical reported with satisfaction. Their shield technology can't compensate for weapons that operate outside their physical assumptions. Throughout the solar system, similar scenes played out as humanity's combined fleet engaged the enemy. Civilian ships now carried weapons that merged simple kinetic principles with advanced alien physics. Research vessels deployed experimental systems that turned the Chronaxians' own technology against them. They're launching their new destroyer class, sensors reported. Energy readings suggest they've modified their weapons too. As expected, Chen nodded. Activate the resonance fields. The space around Prometheus shimmed as dozens of small satellites activated. Each combined Earth's basic broadcast technology with Chronaxian quantum communications. Together, they created overlapping fields that turned space itself into a weapon, disrupting the enemy's advanced targeting systems with what amounted to sophisticated static. Admiral, communications called out. We're detecting energy spikes from Mars. The mining colonies are ready. Chen allowed herself another smile. The red planet's seemingly primitive mining operations had been converted into something unprecedented. A planet-scale energy weapon that combined human nuclear technology with alien power distribution systems. Tell Mars Command they have weapons free, she ordered, and inform all ships to activate their quantum shields. This is going to be impressive. Mars glowed briefly as its hidden arrays powered up. The beam that emerged wasn't just energy. It was a focused stream of hybrid technologies that overwhelmed Chronaxian defenses by operating on multiple physical principles simultaneously. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The Chronaxian battle line erupted in a cascade of failing shields and breaking ships. Their technology, refined over centuries to deal with specific types of attacks, couldn't handle weapons that violated their basic assumptions about how combat should work. Signal all ships, Chen commanded. Begin Phase 2 of the counter-offensive. Let's show them what happens when humanity decides to stop holding back. As Prometheus led Earth's fleet forward, Chen reflected on how quickly humans had not just learned to use alien technology, but to reinvent it. The Chronaxians had expected to find primitives. Instead, they'd given humanity the keys to the stars, and humanity had immediately started improving the locks. The Grand Council chamber fell silent as the human delegation entered. Their uniforms combined terrestrial military designs with elements of salvaged Chronaxian technology, a visual representation of their remarkable adaptability. Admiral Sarah Chen led the group, flanked by Dr. James Okonjo and Michelle Torres. Vather watched from their advisory position as first speaker Milan's crystalline form shifted in barely concealed unease. The last time aliens had entered this chamber with such technology, it had been the Chronaxian Empire at the height of their expansion. Representatives of Earth, Milan began formally. You stand here having successfully defended your world against one of the galaxy's most powerful military forces. The Council anticipates your demands for reparations and territory." Chen stepped forward, her expression calm. "Actually, honored speaker, we're here to propose something different. We're offering the Chronaxian Empire a path to peace that benefits everyone in this room." Murmurs rippled through the gathered ambassadors. Vather noticed how the human delegation remained perfectly composed, despite the gravity of the moment. They had studied alien body language well enough to project both strength and openness. During the conflict, Chen continued, "We captured extensive Chronaxian technical data. We could use this to further develop our military capabilities. Instead, we propose a technological exchange program. The Chronaxians clearly excel at certain scientific fields. We offer to combine our innovative approaches with their established expertise." Dr. Okonjo activated a holographic display, showing hybrid technologies already developed during the war. "Our analysis suggests that combining human and Chronaxian engineering principles could advance both our civilizations by centuries. We've already achieved breakthroughs in quantum physics, materials science, and energy production." The Chronaxian ambassador, newly arrived and visibly uncomfortable, spoke up. "You would share technology with those who attempted to conquer your world." "We've studied your history," Michelle Torres replied, her voice carrying the practical tone of someone used to negotiating complex mining rights. "Your empire expanded because you needed resources to maintain your technological society. We excel at finding creative solutions to resource limitations. Together, we could develop sustainable alternatives that benefit both our peoples." Vather noticed how the human delegation had positioned themselves, not as conquerors or victims, but as potential partners. They were offering the Chronaxians a way to save face while fundamentally changing the relationship. "This is unprecedented," second speaker Rax T observed. "Most species who successfully repel an invasion demand concessions, not cooperation. Humanity's strength lies in turning enemies into allies," Chen explained. "Our own history shows that former adversaries often become the strongest partners. We're not interested in humiliating the Chronaxian Empire. We want to help them evolve beyond the need for conquest." The holographic display shifted to show preliminary designs for joint research stations, cultural exchange programs, and collaborative space exploration initiatives. The humans had prepared extensively for this moment, creating a comprehensive plan for peace that addressed everyone's interests. Additionally, Dr. Okonjo added, "We propose establishing a multi-species scientific coalition. The breakthroughs we achieved by combining different technological approaches suggest that diversity of thought is crucial for innovation. We invite all council members to participate." Vather watched the chamber's reactions with growing admiration. The humans weren't just making peace, they were restructuring the entire galactic political landscape. Their proposal would shift power dynamics from military might to collaborative innovation. "And if we refuse?" the Chronaxian ambassador asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Then we'll continue developing hybrid technologies independently," Chen responded diplomatically. "But we believe cooperation offers better outcomes for everyone. Our species has learned that the most dangerous competitor can become the most valuable ally if given the right opportunity." The council chambers buzzed with discussion as representatives recognized the implications. The humans had demonstrated they could match and exceed Chronaxian military technology. Now they were offering an alternative to the cycle of technological competition and resource wars. First speaker Milan's crystalline form pulsed thoughtfully. "You've clearly given this considerable thought, but how can we trust this proposal?" Chen smiled. "Because we're implementing it already. During this meeting, human engineers are helping repair damaged Chronaxian vessels. We're demonstrating our commitment to cooperation even before negotiations begin." Vather realized that humanity's greatest victory wasn't defeating the Chronaxian fleet. It was transforming a potential multi-generational conflict into an opportunity for unprecedented collaboration. The galaxy would never be the same, And somehow that seemed exactly what humanity had intended all along. Vather stood at the Grand Council's central podium, their silvery robes now adorned with the newly created symbol of the Galactic Scientific Coalition. One solar year had passed since humanity's successful defense of Earth, and the changes they had catalyzed were still sending ripples through civilized space. Distinguished representatives, Vather began, we gather today to formally recognize the results of what history will remember as the Great Paradigm Shift. When the Chronaxian fleet approached Earth, they believed they were targeting a primitive civilization. Instead, they encountered something unprecedented in our galaxy's history. The chamber's holographic displays showed scenes from the past year, human and Chronaxian engineers working together to develop new technologies, joint research stations orbiting distant stars, and cultural exchange programs that had transformed both societies. Humanity's response to invasion demonstrated more than just military capability, Vather continued. They showed us that our entire classification system for civilizations was fundamentally flawed. We measured advancement by technological benchmarks, never considering that innovation could follow different paths. Images appeared of the new hybrid technologies, ships that combine multiple scientific principles, energy systems that defied traditional physics, and communication networks that linked diverse species in ways previously thought impossible. The humans didn't simply defeat superior technology. They reimagined it. When faced with Chronaxian quantum shields, they didn't try to copy them. Instead, they created defenses that operated on entirely different principles. When confronted with advanced AI, they developed systems that merged artificial and human intelligence in ways our scientists had never considered. Third speaker Vensa interrupted respectfully. Yet their greatest achievement wasn't technological, was it? No, Vather agreed. Their most remarkable accomplishment was transforming a potential galactic war into an unprecedented era of cooperation. The Chronaxian Empire, which had expanded through conquest for millennia, now leads the galaxy in collaborative research initiatives. The display showed the transformed Chronaxian homeworld, where former military shipyards now produced exploration vessels and research platforms. Their warrior culture hadn't disappeared, it had evolved, channeling its competitive drive into scientific achievement rather than conquest. Humanity's influence extends beyond technology and diplomacy, Vather explained. They've introduced concepts that are reshaping our understanding of civilization itself. Their ability to maintain individual identity while achieving collective goals, their talent for turning limitations into advantages, and their capacity to learn from different perspectives. These traits are now being studied and adopted throughout the galaxy. First speaker Milan's crystalline form pulsed with curiosity. What of the concerns that their rapid advancement poses a threat? Those concerns, Vather responded, reflect our old way of thinking. Humanity has consistently demonstrated that they value cooperation over domination. They've freely shared their innovations, established open scientific networks, and actively worked to stabilize former conflict zones. The chamber's displays showed Earth's transformed solar system. Mars had become a thriving multi-species colony. The asteroid belt hosted joint mining operations that tested new resource extraction technologies. Jupiter's moons served as laboratories for experiments that would have been too dangerous to conduct near inhabited worlds. Perhaps most importantly, Vather continued, humanity has taught us that true strength lies not in technological superiority, but in the ability to adapt, innovate, and cooperate. Their classification as a primitive species was correct in one sense. They represented a primitive version of what our civilization could become. New images appeared, children from different species learning together, mixed crews on exploration vessels, and hybrid communities that merged different biological and technological needs into harmonious wholes. The Chronaxian invasion, Vather concluded, didn't reveal humanity's military capability. It revealed their capacity to transform challenges into opportunities for growth. They didn't just survive first contact, they used it to create something entirely new. The council chamber erupted in the various signs of approval unique to each species. Vather watched as the gathered representatives discussed humanity's ongoing influence on galactic society. The old power structures based on technological dominance were giving way to new systems that valued innovation and cooperation. And so, Vather announced formally, I propose that we officially recognize what has become evident. Humanity's greatest weapon was never their technology or their tactical skill. It was their ability to imagine and create better possibilities, even in the midst of conflict. They show us that the path forward lies not in perfecting our existing systems, but in remaining open to new ways of thinking. The Council's approval was unanimous. The galaxy had changed irrevocably, and for once, change had brought hope rather than fear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not as conquerors or victims, but as teachers, and their lesson was just beginning.